Just watched the new horror film by Beck and Woods, Heretic, starring Hugh Grant and two up-and-coming actresses. There's also a surprise small role cameo from an actor you'll recognize. I don't even know if I need to keep it a secret. It's not like a huge thing, but Topher Grace is in this movie. So it's a very small cast. It's in an enclosed location. I'm a fan of Beck and Woods, the directing team, writer team from their movie Haunt. I am not familiar with the Quiet Place movies. I never saw them. I don't know why. I just didn't. I haven't seen them yet. Maybe when they come out with another 5 of them, I'll watch the whole series as they do the Leprechaun films or something like that. I really loved Haunt. And there's some similar parallels between these two. They're very small horror films and enclosed locations, people stuck in a place trying to get out, mystery abound and figuring out why are we here, what's going on, what are they going to do to us, stuff like that. So a lot of that is the same if you like movies like that. But this one is a bit more, has more of a theme, has something to say. You're not really quite sure what it's trying to say when you're watching it, but the religious themes are very big in this movie. I described it after I saw it as I was watching it. I was like, this is like a religious TED Talk. There's a scene in this movie where Hugh Grant is basically giving a TED Talk. And he has props, and he's explaining his points via props. Some of it works better than the rest, and he even shows like paintings and stuff. A lot of the points he's making and the stuff that he shows about religion, he's trying to disprove religion to these 2 Mormon girls who show up to his house to try to convert him. Well, he does like invite them. They set up a meeting. A lot of the stuff that he says and the props he uses are straight up, I've already seen in the movie Religulous. So in a way, that scene and a lot of stuff that this movie is, it's trying to be profound and put out this information that you've never heard before. But if you've seen Religulous or you've, that's the Bill Maher documentary. Well, by the way. Then he's like, oh yeah, I've heard that before. I know this. I know the origins of this and that and the other. There was one thing that I found very interesting when he uses the board game Monopoly. I like that, and some of the other stuff. Like I like the idea. I don't know like if there is more information to grab from or other props they could have used or other points they could have made that felt fresher. More like, oh what? I can't believe. Oh, okay, I didn't know this. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's a me problem. Maybe I knew too much about this subject. I'm not sure. But that's the gist. It's a horror film about a guy who's, it appears anyway, about a guy who's trying to teach these religious girls and test their faith. There are certain parts of the movie where it feels like a Saw film, where there's choices to make. There's a part where they have to choose a door. One door goes to, they will get out of the house. They can exit the house, or the other one, and one is labeled, I can't remember. It's like faith or belief, and then the other one is whatever the opposite of that is. So it's like a symbol. They have to choose, like, do you believe in God, or do you no longer believe in God? And which door do you think is going to set you to your freedom, to escape this house, which has now become their tomb. Whenever I see a scene like that, I immediately think of the movie Labyrinth, where she has to, like, choose the door to certain doom or the door that takes her to the castle. But I also thought of Saw, because there's a couple of things that's, like, it feels like Hugh Grant is possibly, like, religious Jigsaw, or if Jigsaw really cared about religion. There's several twists, and there's even moments where in the movie where a character has to go back and explain how she figured something out, and it shows like what actually happened and stuff. Very, very Saw-like, very Agatha Christie whodunit kind of thing. It's like all of a sudden you didn't realize you were in a whodunit, and you are. The movie overall, the cast performs the movie great. Hugh Grant is, having some devilish fun. He's doing a great job doing it. I like the bad guy, creepo, weirdo, can't trust the dude, Hugh Grant, that period of his career, much better than I did when he was doing the romantic comedy stuff early on. I like the bad guy Hugh Grant that happened after his scandal. In this movie, he is in full form. He's having a good time. it's a rich script. There's a lot of content that you can tell these actors are just really having a good time with, and they believe in. And the actresses are great. The two characters are different enough, and their dynamic is amazing. It's surprising what winds up happening with them. So there are like surprising twists and turns in this movie that make you feel like you're glued to your seat. You're like, what's gonna happen? So any of the problems with the movie kind of comes after, and then you're digesting it, and you're like, was this good? Was this what I thought it was going to be? Did this give me enough? And by the end, my conclusion was that it didn't. I still love Haunt way more. If you have a chance to check out Haunt, definitely see that. I saw it by itself, and then I saw it again in the last drive-in. Joe Bob Briggs, actually, it's one of the movies he hosts, so you could check out both. I mean, I've seen the movie 3 times now. I've enjoyed it more each time I see it. It's a great Halloween movie about a group of people stuck in a Halloween haunt on Halloween night, and that has some great, interesting, inventive twists as well. I still love them as writers. I'm going to follow them. This movie is not a complete fail or miss. I still think it's worth your time. But I had some problems with it in that I felt like it could have done more. It could have been more profound. It could have gone to bigger, wilder places. I think in certain ways it plays it a little safe. It felt like, if you want a movie that gives you an experience, a real just dissection of faith and religion, that's about just like giving you the information, which this movie is. So if you're watching this movie and you're expecting to get some kind of profound answer, you kind of do, but that's the thing. You get like a sort of answer at the end as to, is it real, is it not, religion, faith. But even then, they just like don't really give you enough of a clear answer. If you want a movie that does, and it just messes with your head in a big way, and then creates all these crazy questions at the end, and you thought it was one thing, and then it flips it, and all of this, it's just a wild, twist-filled experience about this subject matter, this same subject matter, then you have to see the brilliant only film that Bill Paxton ever directed, Frailty. It's a very similar experience thematically, way better in almost every way. They're a little bit different. This is more of like a, Four Strangers in Search of an Exit kind of box film type of. It's like a feature-length Twilight Zone, basically, Heretic. But Frailty is a bit bigger than that, and with multiple locations, and it's just bigger. Not crazy big. It's still like a small story, but this is a really small story. This is closer to like a TED Talk or a play. It's like a stage play because it all takes place in this house. This is something that they could turn into. Beck and Woods could turn this into a stage play. They could, even if they wanted to, beef it up a bit. Let it evolve with the times. Do a stage version that's better than this. I think there's some ground here to build upon. In fact, this is a classic example of a movie that could become a franchise if they wanted it to. And if they did, I bet you that sequels would be better than the original. This is one of those movies where it has a decent foundation, a decent starting off point with flaws, but then a sequel could knock it out of the park and really build upon it in bigger ways and turn it into something a bit more original, a bit better in multiple ways. But I like the production design. I think it was inventive. There's a weird transition that happens towards the end of the film where they show, it's a transition of like somebody walking through a house, and it's like a model of a house, and then it goes out like this, and then somebody walks through a door in the room of the model house, and you're like, what is this? I almost like that made me think like, well, if this movie went to places like that, literally, like people are stuck inside a model house type of wild, I don't know how you make that work, but if it went there, if it was wild in that way, then this movie could have been really amazing. But that was just a cool, stylistic, nifty little transition to throw you off a bit. So yeah, I guess that's all I have to say without getting. I don't want to get into too many spoilers. I haven't really spoiled much. There's a lot to find here. There's a lot to bite on, to chew on. There's a lot of twists, and you're still going to have a lot of fun if you decide to sit down and watch this. So yeah, give it a shot if you want to. Bear in mind, keep your expectations a little lower. Mine were pretty non-existent. Sometimes that can be a good thing, a bad thing. I purposely went in trying to know as little as possible. Unfortunately, I had the Mormon thing spoiled for me. I didn't, and not that it's a spoiler. I mean, the movie starts out with it, but I didn't even want to know that. I didn't want to know that what the movie was about. But I had that. But the trailer to this movie was fantastic, and that's what got me to want to see it. I don't think they mentioned that in the trailer. I can't remember now. I've seen it a long time ago, but I remember seeing it. I was like, oh, this is like one of them puzzle films where there's, I thought it was going to be more labyrinthy. Not the movie Labyrinth, but them just stuck inside of a bigger labyrinth. Maybe more puzzles, more questions, more, mindfuckery. And I didn't get enough of that. Now, that could be a me problem too. Well, not a me problem, but a trailer problem of the trailer selling it too well. And in doing that, kind of being, disingenuous. But, yeah, check it out. For the performances alone, keep your expectations low, and keep following Beck and Woods, Scott Beck and Brian Woods, because they do good work. And eventually I'll see the Quiet Place films, probably hate them, and and just constantly be comparing it to the movie Haunt, which for whatever reason, it just works for me. And I'm not alone. Like, I've seen a lot of people say that about that movie. So check it out. Check them out. Check it out. Whatever. Have a good time. Have the best life you've ever had in your entire lives. Goodbye.